Hello, everyone, and welcome to Schooling You on GTA. This is a GEG Mississippi on-air event, and I will be talking to two Google certified teachers, Chris Aviles and Naomi Harm, and we are going to. Hey, y'all, say hey.
What's up, Dr. Will?
Hey, welcome everyone. We're so glad that you're here with us today.
Excellent. So if you're on Twitter, maybe you're on Google Plus or Facebook, and you've heard the term Google Certified Teacher or Google Teacher Academy. So here we're going to get the scoop. We're going to talk to them about their experiences and hopefully give more information to which you will actually apply. So we're going to do a start with introductions. So Naomi, tell the people sort of who you are.
Okay, who I am, Dr. Will. Okay, my name is Naomi Harm, coming to you from Brownsville, Minnesota, located in the Midwest of our beautiful nation of our 50 states. My background basically is I'm a Google certified teacher. I'm a National Intel Senior Trainer. I'm also an ISTE, Faculty Instructional Coach. So I do a lot of training nationally and internationally. My drive and my passion is to work with teachers to improve their instructional approaches and to inspire lifelong learning amongst themselves and with students. So I use a lot of the Google tools to motivate, to collaborate, and inspire collaborative and creating compelling lessons for kids in the classroom. But at the same time, I do a lot of webinars and presentations for teachers nationally and internationally to try to share the latest and the greatest of how to impact their classroom practices.
Awesome, awesome. I want your job.
Okay.
I'm just playing. I'm happy where I am. Chris.
Yes, sir. My name is Chris Aviles. I'm coming to you live from the beautiful Jersey Shore in New Jersey. I'm a Google certified teacher by way of GTA Atlanta. I'm a Google education trainer, and I'm actually one of the leaders of Google Education New Jersey. Right now, I teach high school English at Barnegat High School. But as of January 1st, I will transition into my new job at a new district, being an ed tech coach for a K-8 school district. Yeah, that's about it.
Awesome, awesome. So again, we've been, both of you are Google certified teachers. We kind of talked about it. So for those of individuals who don't know exactly what a Google certified teacher is, what is a Google certified teacher?
Well, the short version is it's somebody who graduates from the Google Teacher Academy. The long version is a Google certified teacher is somebody who Google believes is an agent for change, is somebody who is a leader in their field, somebody who innovates, and somebody who looks to make others around them better. Yeah.
Naomi?
Yep, I wholeheartedly agree as well what was just shared with Chris. Thank you so much. I really believe that a Google certified teacher also is one in which that you truly are extremely collaborative. You are willing to give of yourself to make the best between you amongst other educators as well. That you are willing to share the best of your knowledge to make life much easier in the classroom for others as well too. But at the same time, it's for an improvement. A Google certified teacher is always going for improvement, knowing that we can always exceed in what we already know, but also at the same time we can admit that we don't know everything and that we want to improve our practice to make change for kids.
All right, Naomi, so describe the application process.
That was an interesting adventure, to say the least. The application process allows you to be extremely reflective, and I believe I really truly like that part of it. It really documents your understanding, not only of the Google tools, but what are you doing that's so different and unique, whether it's in your classroom practice or whether if you're working with adult learners. What are you doing to inspire and make that classroom change for improvement in all spectrums of all subject areas, basically. Not only do you write a reflective, but it's also a very competitive process. They really do go through the process of looking at the different types of activities that you create and that you publish and that you work with others, but you also create a dynamic and compelling 1-minute video to tell your story that is reflective of your written response.
Chris?
Yeah, to go along with that, it was funny for me. I was kind of just getting into ed tech. I had just started my website. I really had just gotten onto Twitter. So all this stuff was new for me, and I heard about the Google Teacher Academy from some people I knew, and I thought it was such a long shot for me to get in that I completed the whole application process in about half an hour. Um,
Oh, really?
yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Okay.
I sat down, and even like my video that you have to make, which is probably the hardest part, because you have to capture, like Naomi said, what makes you special and unique, what makes you stand out. And I did mine in one take. It took me about 5 minutes. There's little to no editing, but the biggest part that was maybe different for me. It was like Naomi. It was the first time I ever had to really reflect on my teaching, and they were really big about, what are you doing in the classroom, and why is it so special, and how are you going to, kind of take your experiences and share it with others, and kind of, make the path better because you've been that way. Um, I don't think it was necessarily a long process. It's a Google form that you fill out. It's about once you get outside of the basic questions of like your name, your job, stuff like that, I think there was only 4 or 5 kind of reflective questions. You had about 400 words to answer the questions in. Um, so it could have been done quickly, I guess, kind of like I did, but I can imagine people spending a whole lot of time because it's some serious kind of soul-searching questions. But it was a neat little process.
Okay, so you go through the application process, and like everyone, you're on Twitter. You know, hey, did you get the email? Did you get the email? Hey, I got in. Woo! I didn't get in. Well, congratulations. Blah blah blah. So everything settled down, and you arrive at your location. You're excited, taking photos, all the good stuff, meeting people. What actually happens at the sessions? What happens at GTA? And what sort of skills or mandate is given to you while you're there?
So it's pretty funny because I went through Google Atlanta, which was last July, so it hasn't been that long since I've been out. And I'm also the lead learner for the Google Teacher Academy in Austin coming up. So I have actually seen it from both sides now as I start to plan and collaborate to get ready for Austin. I see all the work that's gone in on the Google side of it. Um, but I can tell you when I got to Atlanta, one of the nice things is if you are selected, they put you into a private community together, and you start to build that community right away via Voxer, Twitter, talking through the G Plus community. And when you get to Atlanta, it's kind of like you're meeting up with old friends. Like you've talked to these people for a few months, and everybody's really excited. So you have that all in common. You finally get to put, real life faces to the names. The theme for Atlanta was Solve for X. What we had to do while we were in Atlanta is, think of these big, big problems that we had. They call it Moonshot Thinking, and think of these problems that we have, the bigger the better, and how can you solve them? And one thing I was personally impressed with, it wasn't like you went there and it was like a Google product training and they were telling you how to, use this Google product, use that Google product. It was more along the lines of how can we make you great teachers, and if Google products happen to help you, meet those needs, that's fantastic. If not, we just want to, make things better. So there was a lot of team building when you got there. We had a whole day of an unconference where we in the academy got to build our own schedule and kind of learn from each other. And that was even neat too. The lead learners that were there to help us kind of just sat with us and were one of us, and we all kind of learned together, which was really cool. So outside of the team building, outside of the unconference, there is a copious amounts of delicious food and snacks, which I was very excited about. And with some of that time, we got to, one of the neater things when I was in Atlanta is Google Classroom was just about to come out. So we had requested to be able to see it, to be able to play with it, and so they actually brought somebody in and made us accounts to the classroom and wound up playing. So I think one of the nice things about the GTA is that you as somebody in the academy, you get to drive a little bit of what happens there. Outside of the team building, you get to build the unconference schedule. You get to suggest or ask, to see a couple of things that we might wanted to have seen. We even had some speakers come in. who told us what it was like to work at Google. We talked to one of the ladies who ran the Google Education, branch. One of my highlights was Jamie Cassip was there, who's a really kind of a guy I look up to when it comes to education, and so he came and he talked to us. And it's very quick, very fast-paced. Most things lasted less than half an hour, if not less than 15 minutes, and so we're constantly moving, constantly learning, circulating and working together. To basically with the theme in mind of solve for X. What problem do we want to have worked on while we're there?
Naomi?
Yep, I agree with everything that Chris has said, and I'm so glad that you brought up the Solve for X, and that was kind of our focus as well too. And I just gave a keynote presentation to Minnesota on solving for X on Moonshot Thinking, because we were developing a whole mission around that for students, around the new curriculum approach with that. And it was the same for our group that we went through, and I went through in December of 2012, and it was in Mountain View, California, and very much it was as the analogy is, that you are drinking out of a fire hose. It was nonstop, it was constant, it was amazing. It was so energetic, so inspiring, but at the same time too, you were trying to actively listen and then fully participate, and you still felt like you were going to miss out on something. So everything was so cutting edge. It was amazing. Even though we may think that we know a lot about the Google tools and a lot that we use in our daily use, whether it's we're working with students or with teachers, at the same time, they would just be pulling all of these great digital tools out of their hats, and it'd be like, oh my gosh, I didn't know about this, or I didn't know about that. What was so large during that time, what we were introduced to was the new development of Chrome extensions. So when you think about 2 years ago, where were Chrome extensions and where they're at today, it's absolutely amazing. So it was so wonderful to work, and I had Jenny Maringer from Chicago was one of my lead facilitators in our group, and she's so inspiring still to this day to work with. I think the greatest takeaway that you work with these teachers is that it is truly an immersion of a wonderful, well thought out and crafted learning community. It really is. The teachers that I worked with 2 years ago were still great friends because we still communicate and connect. And it was just like Chris said, you had this time that you could connect with them before you met face to face, and then in the face to face it became that reality, and it was just an amazing, like you had never skipped a beat of missing these people before. And I just love the opportunity to really talk and share your ideas and solve for new problems, because we all get stuck on something once in a while, and you had this critical think tank of these 30 amazing educators that came together, and you felt like you've been best friends your entire life, and you didn't feel that there was no way that you couldn't ask any question that somebody wouldn't have the answer to in that room. We had many breakout activities like Chris had mentioned also, but at the same time, I walked away with a whole new set of digital tools that would strengthen my delivery with adult learners, but at the same time, I could speak the talk basically when it came to what tools were best for kids in the classroom too. I really had the opportunity to do the next day too that we actually did an unconference as well, and we got to lead some sessions. So we had an opportunity to really show what we know and what's been really insightful and impactful in our areas. So it's so well worth it.
Yeah, that Moonshot Thinking is really interesting, because we just hosted at Google Leadership Conference at our school, and there were 4 superintendents across the state, tech directors, instructional technologists, and teachers, and they all came, and a couple of folks from Google for Education came and talked about that. So it was a real sort of interesting way of thinking, how do you solve problems, not today, not even 3 years from now. Let's go even further and then try to work our way there. So in going through that process, and you're learning, you're growing, and you're ready to leave, what sort of mandate, or what is your role now as a Google certified teacher at that point? What responsibilities do you have moving forward? What does Google say, now I have crowned thee GCT, you must go forth and do?
Well, one of the things that you have to do, I guess maybe the only requirement, is that you have to create an action plan. Your action plan is something that you plan on following through with after you leave the academy. Mine was to further enhance the motivation and engagement of my students through gamification, which I'm really passionate about. And so as the year has unfolded, because I'm actually in that year right now of my action plan, I've continued to use and brought in some new stuff that I thought about and learned to do, what I set out to do, is increase the engagement and motivation of my kids. Um, they hope that you go out and inspire others. They hope that you go out and change the world. They hope that you go out and collaborate and bring others along with you on your journey during your action plan. But as far as only actual requirements, you have to write up an action plan. You have to submit it to the action plan website. Somebody reads it over for you, and then you spend the year kind of enacting it, and then you're expected to follow up and kind of talk about how you've been doing at the end of that action plan year. So there's a lot of things that they hope you do, but as far as what you have to do, the action plan is something that they require you to do, which is a lot of fun too, because it keeps me focused, on completing what I set out to do throughout the year.
As well, the action plan is the most critical part of it, and I think why the importance of the action plan is because you do take action. You are making change, and I think if they didn't have you do that, I think probably over 50% of the candidates would probably not follow through, or they may be doing small pieces but not making a larger impact. The action plan that I created, I'm still following through on, even though it's been over 2 years. We created a mobile literacy boot camp, was the theme of what I created for my action plan, but I did it as a collaborative team approach because I work with a lot of dynamic educators in the Midwest. So our goal was to make sure that we impacted over 1,000 educators our first year, and we met that goal and exceeded it. So by year 2, we've already impacted over 3,000 educators with Google tools, but we made it more broad than just Google focus. We enhanced it with also mobile literacy capabilities, global collaboration in the classroom, and also integrated web tool literacy tools, and also which types of apps enhance that type of development too. So we broadened it beyond the Mobile Literacy Boot Camp, but it was so meaningful the first year for us. We hosted this big Mobile Literacy Boot Camp, and these would take place of 200 great Midwest educators would come together at a given time, and the student that won the Google for the Day contest, where you have the beautiful online website where Google has their landing page, kids have their themed artwork. We had a Sparta, Wisconsin student that won basically that project, and she was noted for that, and it was all about her dad coming home from Iraq. It was like, it couldn't have been better. We just landed it. And so we hosted it at the Sparta, Wisconsin School District, and we got to honor this particular student because of her Google for the Day, of her beautiful artwork that she won for the Google competition for the year. So it all had such a nice theme approach. So as long as you're very insightful, that you are impacting, inspiring, and making change with others, noting that your action plan is very unselfish and that it's for the reason of good, to help educate, to help transform the way that teachers teach in the classroom. That's the whole benefit of this, that you are making meaningful and long-lasting change, and that you are really being extremely collaborative with others. That's the hope for the whole action plan.
Okay. So basically, both of you had prior experiences with Google tools and educational technology prior to uh, becoming a Google certified teacher. Uh, so you've gone through the process. You're working on your action plan, etc. How has becoming a GCT, or how did GTA influence your practice? How has it sort of changed, or how did it change how you view either Google Apps or instructional technology in general in the classroom?
When I was in Atlanta, it was funny. They did a couple demo slams and showed off a few products and stuff like that, and there was only one that I wasn't familiar with, one called Ngram Viewer, which kind of goes through Google's scan of books and tells you how frequently a word appears from that time period. And that was the only product I'd never heard of, and I went and I played with it, and I actually use it all the time in my classroom. Outside of that, I didn't really take away too much about any of the tools, but what I did take away was a network of really cool people. And so the biggest impact that the Academy had on to me is I now had, the 50 people in my cohort, the lead learners, and beyond, I kind of feel like I've gotten better because I've been able to surround myself with really talented people. And I always felt like that's what the Teaching Academy, the Teacher Academy is really about. Is I've met such amazing people, I've gotten such amazing opportunities that it's allowed me to get better. My teaching, my presenting, I even feel like a better person, to be honest with you, because we have some deep discussions because one of my favorite things was Google Teacher Academy is over, maybe 4 or 5 o'clock, and then everybody would go out and get dinner together, and we'd stay till 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night, just talking about schools, talking about life, and those conversations and the people that I've met from being in the Teacher Academy, I think have been my biggest takeaway from the whole experience. Just being able to call on, and I have some I talk to every day. I have some, even internationally now, where I can make a call. Hey, what are you doing? Or we do hangouts, and we all still keep in touch. So for me, the way that my teaching and my practices have changed have been because of the people that I've met and the opportunities that I've gotten through them. And so I even said it when I was there, because they ask you about your takeaways before you leave, and I told them, I said it wasn't necessarily a product, but I've never been in a place with such awesome people before. And so that to me was really that was the best part of the whole thing for me, was the people.
The relationship building is key, exactly what Chris has noted, absolutely. The building of relationships is so critical because you are surrounded with such wonderful like minds but inspiring people that you know that you have a support group even after you're done with all of this training, and I think that is so essential. The second part that I really walked away with was a lot of the different personalized learning attributes that were shared. The attributes meaning, yes, there was Google Tools, there were Chrome apps, there were extensions, but I looked at it from an instructional point of view that I don't want to just teach technology for technology's sake. I want to make sure that every type of lesson that I present to students or teachers is so compelling that it's going to help them think more critically, more deeply, and ask more questions. So the personalized learning approach for me as an end user and as an educator was so very, very important. So that even when I instruct now, when I teach with Google Tools, it's just not a tool. It's what is the purpose, what is the learning outcome first that we look at, and then let's combine or do that Google Chrome app mashup, and how can we do to create a dynamic product or a digital project that it was inconceivable before? What can we do that is so different that can help solve problems or find new solutions for our students or our teachers? So the personalized learning aspect of the tools, but at the same time, what can we do to really create those compelling assignments of a substantial learning outcome to make a difference with kids?
Okay. So I have one last question, and it's not a curveball question, but
Okay.
it's not included in what we sort of I'll let you know before. But for those individuals who will watch this video and are inspired by your words, and they're saying, I want in myself. I want to be a GCT. What advice do you have for them, whether it be about how to answer the questions or how you go about creating your video? What do you say to them to sort of get them prepared?
Hmm. So I think the big thing that they're looking for is that you are doing something unique and you are doing something powerful uh, using Google tools. For me, I turned my classroom into a video game using Google Sites and Google Sheets and other Google products. And when I got there, I got pulled aside by a couple people and said they'd never seen what I was doing before, and I actually wound up pitching it and showing it to a bunch of people who worked there, some that weren't even involved in the academy. Um, and so for me, it seemed like that was my kind of ticket in, is I was doing something that they hadn't seen before. Um, you know, if I could send a link and you can post it up if you want to of my video, or you can check out on my YouTube channel. It's really bad. It really is awful. There's no cuts, there's no nothing. I shot the whole thing in 5 minutes. The video is supposed to be a minute long, and mine was a minute and 20. And they were really adamant about following the rules, but I kind of didn't. Probably because I didn't believe I was going to get picked. And so I got to the academy, and they started playing everybody's videos as part of a welcome package, and I was like embarrassed. My video is so bad. But I think what they're looking for is somebody who is really going above and beyond for their students, for their community, for their staff, and using Google in a unique way. It's all about that mashup that Naomi had mentioned. Finding a new way to do something with these older tools that they have, or combining tools in a new way. So I think that's what it is really try to challenge yourself to do something amazing with Google products. Because it's the amazing part that they're really looking for, is what I think.
I believe so too. I used quite a few tools that when I created my final video as well, and they were Google products, and my final end was through the WeVideo at the time, but I used several to create that final video, and they really like that as well, knowing that you're doing this mashup of all these different tools to create this unique digital product. But at the same time, what's really, really important and insightful is that you do need to share your voice. You need to share your story. Your story is very important, that it is also captured through your written reflection. If those two have a disconnect, you will not be chosen. I know that for fact. You need to make sure that there is cohesion between your story that you've written and also what your product is that you have. If you only do a slideshow with all these digital pictures that looks fun and great, it's got the bells and whistles, it's not sharing your true story. They're looking for personalization. They're looking for those mashups, but they're also looking for a great way to tie in, again, the key examples, 1, 2, or 3, that notes how is it so unique and so different of why we should choose you.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you both for being our guests on this GEG Mississippi event podcast. And hopefully people are either watching this live or will watch this later. Will say, hey, this is fantastic. I'm now even more inspired and ready to present, well, not present, but apply. The next one, I know if you're in the South, the next one coming up that is closer to our region will be in June 25th, Atlanta again. So everyone, check it out, and thank you again for being guests, and thank you people for being viewers.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Will.
Yep, thanks a lot, Dr. Will, and Chris, thank you so much for partnering on this today.
Absolutely. Good to see you.
Okay.